The night was quiet until a scream cut through it like a knife. It came from the far end of the old bridge that crossed the Chattahoochee River, a high-pitched cry that echoed into the dark water below. Police lights flashed red and blue, bouncing off the surface of the river like fire and ice dancing together. Officers ran toward the bridge's railing, flashlights trembling in their hands. Something floated just beneath the surface, a small figure caught in the current. "Get the divers!" one officer shouted, his voice cracking under the tension. The river swallowed the light, and for a moment no one moved. Only the sound of water rushing beneath them filled the air. A young man stood nearby, watching. His name was Wayne. His face was calm, too calm for what was happening around him. The officer turned toward him. "What are you doing here, son?" Wayne blinked. "Just driving home," he said quietly. The officer's flashlight caught something in the corner, a long green rope tangled near the bridge's edge. It looked freshly cut, the same kind of rope that had been found before near the last two bodies. The officer's heart dropped as realization hit him. But before he could say another word, a voice from the river shouted, "We've got something." The crowd froze. The sound of splashing grew louder. The divers were pulling something toward the shore, a small body wrapped in cloth, lifeless and pale. The officer stepped back, and the silence that followed was heavier than any storm. The city of Atlanta would never forget this night. 3 weeks earlier, the city had been restless. It was the summer of 1981, and every parent in the black neighborhoods was on edge. Too many children had gone missing. Posters hung on telephone poles, fluttering in the wind. Mothers stood on porches at night, calling their children's names even when they knew there would be no answer. "Please, just come home," whispered Mrs. Johnson, her voice shaking as she stared at her son's photo taped to the window. The police said they were doing everything they could, but it didn't feel like enough. The media had started calling it the Atlanta child murders. Every few weeks, another body was found near a creek, a park, or a wooded area. The children were all around the same age, young, bright, and full of life. People started locking their doors early. Some parents even walked their kids to school in groups, afraid to let them go alone. But the fear didn't stop the disappearances. Whoever was behind it, they were smart, careful, invisible. Detective Harold Brown had been working the case for months. He was tall, middle-aged, with tired eyes and a deep voice. The murders had taken over his life. Every morning, he looked at the evidence board in his office. Photos of the victims, maps with red pins marking where each body had been found. The pattern didn't make sense. There was no clear link between the kids. One day, a young reporter named Lisa came to the station. "Detective Brown," she said, "I heard there's been another disappearance." Harold sighed, rubbing his forehead. "That makes 23, he said. 23? Lisa whispered. "My God!" She followed him into the evidence room, where walls were covered with newspaper clippings. Each headline screamed the same thing: another child missing. Lisa looked at the photos. "Do you think it's one person doing all this?" Harold didn't answer at first. He looked down at the rope fibers found near one of the crime scenes. "If it is," he said softly, "he knows how to hide, and he's been doing it too long." That same night, a young boy named Eric was walking home from basketball practice. The sun had already set, and the streets were quiet. He usually walked with his friends, but tonight he had stayed behind to help the coach clean up. As he turned onto the street, he noticed a car parked near the corner, an old, dark-colored sedan. The headlights were off. Eric slowed his pace. The car door opened slightly, but no one came out. "Hey there," a man's voice called. "You need a ride home?" Eric froze. His mom had told him 1,000 times not to talk to strangers. He started walking faster, gripping his basketball tighter. "Come on, kid," the voice said again. "It's late. I can take you home." Eric didn't answer. His heart was racing now. The car started rolling slowly beside him. He broke into a run. The car's tires screeched as it pulled forward, cutting him off at the corner. The door swung open, and before Eric could scream, a hand grabbed him. The basketball rolled across the street, bouncing once, twice, and then it was silent. The next morning, Eric's mother reported him missing. The police added another name, to the growing list. Harold Brown drove out to the neighborhood himself. He stood on the sidewalk, staring at the basketball still lying in the grass. Lisa arrived a few minutes later, camera in hand. "Another one?" she asked softly. Harold nodded. "Yeah, another one." As they talked, a little boy rode by on his bike. He slowed down and said, "Mister, I saw a car last night. A green one. It was parked right there." He pointed to the corner. Harold's eyes narrowed. "You remember anything else?" The boy nodded. There was a man inside. He was watching the street. He had glasses. Harold wrote that down quickly. "You did good, kid. Real good." But even with the new lead, something didn't sit right with him. He'd seen that same description before, in another witness report from weeks ago. The same car, the same glasses, the same calm voice offering a ride. That night, Harold couldn't sleep. He kept going over the case files again and again. At 2 a.m., he drove back to the station. The room was empty except for the hum of the fluorescent lights. He looked at the map one more time. Red pins marking every body found, yellow pins for those still missing. He drew a line connecting the points. They all circled around one thing, the Chattahoochee River. Then he remembered something. A man had once been stopped near that river after police heard a splash in the water. His name was Wayne, the same man from the bridge, the same one who said he was just driving home. Harold's pulse quickened. He opened a file drawer and found a report from that night. It mentioned a suspicious rope found at the scene. The same green fibers matched the several victims. But the case had gone cold. Could it really be him? Harold whispered to himself. He didn't have time to think. His phone rang suddenly, cutting through the silence. "Detective Brown," he answered. The voice on the other end was trembling. "You need to come down to the river. Now." Harold grabbed his coat and rushed out. As he drove through the dark streets, the siren started again, blue and red lights flashing ahead. He parked near the bridge, the same one from the first case, and stepped into the cold night air. An officer ran toward him. "Detective, you're not going to believe this. We found another body." Harold's stomach dropped. "Where?" The officer pointed toward the edge of the bridge. "Right below. Same spot as before." As Harold walked closer, the flashing lights illuminated the wet pavement. His shoes splashed through puddles. He looked over the edge and froze. The divers were pulling up something wrapped in plastic. And this time, it wasn't just another victim. There was something else tied to it. Something heavy. "Cut it loose," one diver shouted.